Ruxballs and Oval Balls is here again. Another week of rugby content brought to you for the listener by the fans' favourite rugby hosts. It's me, Dave, joined as ever by Rory. And yes, I changed the inclination of the intro. Rory, say hello to the listener.
Hello, listeners. Hello, David. Well, you were challenged to mix it up a little bit at the top of the pod, and you did it. Well done.
I've delivered on the fly. That's how I like to operate, Rory. And, you know, the listener's been waiting 2 weeks for that delight, and hopefully it's enriched the ears of many.
David, would you like to explain why the listener's been waiting 2 weeks for that mix-up?
Well, quite simply put, you might be aware of the heat wave that took place last week. In the certain part of the country that I was in, I was recording heats above 36 degrees in the house, and, you know, sitting in front of a computer, recording a podcast in those heats, when you've got a 3-month-old baby that is not enjoying the heat at the same time, it felt like the wrong priority to be having. And I couldn't really be making an argument to me have the fan, not the baby.
Sure.
So it felt like a good welfare and health decision to postpone last week's pod, which is a shame because I'd lined up a couple of people to step in to fill your boots, Rory, because you weren't available. But I will be getting those who I had lined up to return and come to the pod in the near future. But yes,
there will be opportunity to speak to them, sure. And might I say, David, well, not to criticise you. This is obviously an audio medium, so there's some people who won't necessarily realise this. But you also haven't helped yourself by looking incredibly beardy these days.
Well, as we say, it is an audio-focused podcast, and I'm just I've no defence.
You've got a lumberjack. It's not a summer beard you're sporting there.
It's not a summer beard I'm sporting here, and it does require taming. But I'm also quite enjoying the depth, the bristliness, the denseness. It's a beard many people would wish to have, other than the colour of it, because it is ginger. But you know,
I mean, it's clearly ginger. But no, in terms of fullness of body, it's magnificent.
Oh, I know. But it will go eventually, because last week was no cakewalk for me, and that probably wouldn't have helped at all. But yeah, what about yourself, Rory? Because obviously you weren't available last week for much better reasons. So how have you been for 2 weeks?
Good. I was north of the border. I'd gone beyond Hadrian's Wall. I was in Edinburgh for a couple of days. My brother ran the marathon in Edinburgh. I obviously supported by drinking lots of Tennent's and just about making it in time to see him cross the finish line.
Fantastic.
And then I was in Glasgow for a couple of days. A fantastic city. I urge everyone to go to Glasgow. It's just brilliant. Mm-hmm. And then I graced the bonny banks of Loch Lomond and did a bit of hiking at the behest of my partner, who insisted that we needed to do something active. I was happier drinking Tennent's, but, you know, there we go.
You weren't inspired to sign up for the marathon yourself?
I was put off, completely put off. It wasn't quite as warm in Edinburgh as it might have been in Bristol, but it was warm enough. And my brother, who's suffers with a similar complexion in that he's pale and ginger, finished with what can only be described as second-degree burns on his shoulders from the sun. So I looked at that and I went, no, thank you. Not for me.
You'll stick to hiking around Loch Lomond.
Yeah, that was better.
Well, there we go. We've managed to frame it better, because I know you would rather have been drinking Tennent's, but at least you weren't running a marathon.
Exactly. You know, someone's always worse off than you. You know, you've got perspective's key.
Perspective is key. And what else is key, Rory? Rugby. And that's what we're here to talk about.
Quite right.
In this pod, we're going to cover the Prem Round 17. We're going to cover some news, obviously, first and foremost. We'll pick up on a team of the week, some predictions, and we're also going to announce some nominations for the Ruxballs Oval Balls Awards for Prem Rugby this season. So yeah, buckle in, folks, because I have a feeling it's another humdinger. It's packed full of stuff. It's packed full of content, and I'm ready to go, Rory. Are you ready to go?
I'm ready to go, David.
Thank God. It'd be awkward if you said you weren't. Firstly, we'll start off with some news. I think the main thing that seems to be doing the rounds at the moment is speculation around the news of Mr. Shaun Edwards being released from France, probably one of the most vaunted defence coaches in the modern era. A great track record of winning trophies at Six Nations and turning around kind of defences of nations like Wales and France. What did you make of this? Should Borthwick be banging on his door and kind of giving him a blank check, or is there more to this?
Well, there may well be more to it. There's speculation as to what the reason might be. It kind of goes across the spectrum of Gautier through to reasons, Shaun Edwards' personal reasons as to why he would want to leave, and there's things that we can only speculate as to why it's looking like he's going to be released from his France contract. If it is spurred by Gautier, who has fallen out or lost trust or whatever it might be, my gut feel is this is a hammer blow to France's World Cup hopes. I think Shaun Edwards, for me, is one of the top rugby coaches in the world. His track record speaks for itself. If he is available and the RFU still refuse to go for him, I think it is a huge error. Well, I just think I realise adding to the coaching carousel of England is something we've talked about and we've said they need to stop doing. But there are exceptions to these rules, and for me, Shaun Edwards is a must get.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think they should be bending over backwards to try and get him in, because you only look at the fortunes of France almost instantly when he came under kind of their coaching ticket. It was stark how quick he had an impact. And we've all seen with England, I think defence can sometimes be one of their weaknesses, certainly on the fringes. That's not something that Shaun Edwards would allow, and he would fix that real quick. It remains to be seen the reasons why he's leaving and whether that does open the door to him to come to England or, dare I say, a team in the north with a lot of money. But I think, notwithstanding all that, if he's available, you get him. Unfortunately,
can you imagine how pumped up an England team would be to having been spoken to in the changing rooms by Shaun Edwards and Kevin Sinfield? I think they burst through the walls.
Sinfield and Edwards as your coaching ticket for England, I think that is one way to maybe turn round the fortunes of England and certainly address some of the question marks we've raised in the past about being up for the games, for sure.
Look, I think one of the big strengths that other nations have over England rugby teams is they have this innate motivation I'm not saying England players aren't motivated to go and win international rugby matches, but if you compare it to the likes of South Africa and the motivation they have to represent South Africa, Welsh players to represent Wales, French players when the Marseillaise comes on, New Zealand players with the haka. England teams sometimes feel a little bit more controlled, mechanical. It's what would get an England team eyes bulging, bursting to go and win a game, because it doesn't feel like we've had that since Martin Johnson was captain. You had Martin Johnson and Lawrence Dallaglio, characters like that who'd get you pumped up. For me, the thing that's going to do it is having Shaun Edwards, Kevin Sinfield just in there. Just Ellis Genge would tackle the stand to get out there after a team talk from those two. I just want to see it.
Yeah. If we're serious, if the RFU is serious of challenging for the World Cup, why wouldn't we chase him down? But we'll see. We'll keep an eye on that one. It'll be one of two things. He'll either turn up somewhere quite quickly, or that kind of news story will fade away into the distance and be forgotten about for a little while before he re-emerges, but we'll keep an eye on it. I think the other thing worth touching up on, because we weren't, providing an episode last week after the European Cup final, a genuine nod to the champions of the Champions Cup, Bordeaux, really putting in one hell of a performance to, strike a stark reminder into Leinster about why they're no longer the superpower of European rugby.
Let's be frank. It was a shellacking in terms of finals. The fallout in Ireland is bordering on vicious. Nina Bayer is in the media today, in fact, questioning his future, feeling like he's being drummed out by media and fans who don't value him, I believe were his words that he's used. Not to say whether they're right or wrong as to whether Ninabara is the problem, but that is 5 European finals on the bounce, I believe they've lost, plus the semi-finals.
Yeah.
Something is not working at Leinster. I don't know if it's Ninabara. I mean, he's only been there for this season, so that feels a bit harsh to put it all on him. But something's stopping Leinster getting over that line, and long may it continue.
Yeah. Well, that something seems to be the top 14, as they seem to have a...
Yeah, there is that. The thing getting in the way of Leinster is a really brilliant French team every year.
Yeah, and that seems to be the problem for most of us, Rory, unfortunately. Speaking quite recently from a Northampton Saints perspective.
I'm afraid to say, David,
and it will continue.
There's no two ways about it. Bordeaux are just that much better than everyone else in Europe at the moment at their best.
They are. And it's so weird that they are 6th in the top 14.
It's a strange old league.
It's a strange old league. I need to start watching more of it. But yeah, it's a strange one.
I mean, just look at the teams around them. You know, Montpellier obviously won the Challenge Cup as well.
Yeah, and they're 2nd in the top 14.
Dispatching Ulster. Yeah. Toulouse are still magnificent.
Yeah.
Ho, a resurgent force. You know, it's embarrassment of riches in that league, and there's been a lot of talk in the media. Bruce Craig was writing a comment on it in the Telegraph. They're very chirpy again about how do we build a system in England that can rival France's, and it's difficult to see. You know, I think the way they think about the game, the way they market the game, the way they inspire kids to play the game, and the way they bring these kids through, there's just the ability that these kids have when they come onto the scene in top level French rugby. It's beyond. I mean, it's even beyond South Africa at this point. I mean, South Africa South Africa's first team is at least the equal of France's first team, probably better. Obviously, won in the last instance. So yes, you should probably clarify they are better.
Yeah.
But if you look at the pipeline of players coming through, I mean, really, it is those two out on their own at this point, but you know, you've got to find a way to combat that. England are going to have to change their approach, and I think it's going to take a bit of a system reset to try and catch those two up.
Yeah. And are we in a position to do that? We all know the answer to that question.
Recent votes of members and things would suggest the RFU isn't quite ready to change its ways.
Not yet. But we will still support the lads regardless, Rory. And we'll go in with optimism and assuming they're going to win every game until they don't, which will be quite quickly because they play South Africa first. But yeah, I think that's the news generally covered up for now. If there's anything else, we'll cover it next week, I'm sure. But, Rory, we have to go deep and dark into our bread and butter. That is the Prem Rugby Round 17, the penultimate round of fixtures, the great run-in, lots to play for. And headline for this week, Rory, there are some surprises and there are some hell of a performances here. No one would have predicted this set of results this week. This
weekend, I would say is Prem Rugby at its absolute best. The most unpredictable series of games, I think, all season. Yeah, I don't think we've had a weekend like it. 5 games that all need addressing.
Yeah.
So should we just get into it?
With that being said, we need to get into it because we are bound by time restrictions. Bristol versus Bath, the Friday night kickoff. Bristol at Ashton Gate. Pretty good record against Bath. Bath really looking to turn around their fortunes. And obviously, this game turned out a certain way. What did you make of the game, Rory?
Well, I mean, the big context is obviously Bristol coming off the utter shellacking.
Yeah, shipping 90 points.
Shipping 90 points at Franklin's Gardens, and there was always going to be a response. I don't think I quite expected to the level we saw here. The physicality, the organisation, the commitment in defence by Bristol in this game, I mean, not just compared to 2 weeks before, but compared to pretty much this whole season, to be honest, was something to behold. You know, I suspect Jordan Crane is breathing a huge sigh of relief as defence coach after this week compared to the previous 2. From Bath's perspective, a really disappointing outing. scoreless in the second half, shipping a 12-point lead at half time. And signs that this conservative style of play isn't quite getting them over the line in the moment in the same way it was. And this week, David, you cannot blame Finn Russell for that, because Kieran Donahue was given his shot. You'd been calling him for it for weeks. You thought that was the fix. And unfortunately, not a strong out, really. Pretty anonymous in this game. They basically played a 9-man game, which didn't play to his strengths.
Yeah, shock horror.
But interesting. And let's be honest. The first half, it looked like Bath were going to run away with this. The first half, they looked really. They did look strong. Didn't start well for Donahue though. Kicks the first off his first touch and kicks dead. And I have to say that did rather set the tone for his day. There wasn't a lot of standout moments from him in this one. But by and large, Bath did dominate this half. Arundel had a try chalked off just before 15 minutes. Ollie Lawrence scores after 20. Big punches from Thokinasinger, who, when he was involved, was prominent.
Had one of his better games this season, I'd say.
Yeah, just not involved enough, really. I mean, I can't understand why you'd have a player of that size, speed, physicality, and form, and not try and get him involved more. Get him off the wing.
I don't think he comes off the wing enough. I think that might be his problem. Whether he's told to stay on the wing just to spread the defence, I don't know. But you very rarely see him coming off the wing these days.
Yeah,
he used to do it all the time.
When he does, he's really effective. But he just doesn't seem to be there enough. He makes a big punch, offloads off the floor really well. Head heel barrels through Ellis Genge.
Yeah.
Sam Underhill playing at number 8 this week. Really interesting pick. And good there, actually.
He was better than I thought he was going to be.
Much better than I thought he was going to be. You maybe underplay Sam Underhill's handling ability, but he did show it off a bit in this game, where his ability to be involved ball in hand rather than just as a hitter, although he was involved in that as well, has to be said. He floored Bernard Jansen Van Rensburg at one point. But Ollie Lawrence picks and goes over after 20 minutes. Guy Pepper scores just before the half-hour mark. They get a turnover, spin it right. Thokinasinger again involved. Big bust. Ben Spencer snipes and puts Guy Pepper in. Bristol hit back through Fitzhardin. Another excellent performance from Fitzhardin. I mean, just absolutely leads by example with this in this Bristol team.
Yeah, he is definitely the heartbeat of that team for sure.
100%. Harry Thacker got a ball off the back of the line-out. I mean, Bath's line-out, we've talked a few times about how shaky that looks at times, and it was shaky once again. You can't put it all on the hooker's feet, but I do wonder if having Kepa Tuipulotu in there this week, Tom Dunn suspended, just creates a little bit more uncertainty. And, there's a lot of moving parts in Bath. They do rotate their pack a lot.
Yeah.
Thacker steals it. Bath give the penalty away. They tap and go, and Fitzhardin runs an unders line under Harry Randall. They've run it a few times this season off tap pens off 5 minutes. It's a good move because Fitzhardin is just deceptively powerful. Bath hit back again before half time. Thomas Dutoy doing Thomas Dutoy things. They win a massive scrum penalty. Absolutely dominating up front. Tap and go, lots of picks and goes, and eventually just power and weight. Takes hold, and at half time, I'd say at 19-17, Bath they'd had one disallowed. They'd messed a 5 metre scrum opportunity up as well after Ravuvu very daftly knocks the ball dead off a kick. And they've been on the trial. There's a lot of trial and pressure, but Bristol's defence under the amount of pressure they had in the first half was really excellent. They won a penalty on the try line. They just looked a lot more committed. But even so, at half time, I thought this is only going one way. It's a better performance, but just Bath's power, Bristol's injuries, that's all sort of starting to just the physics of it is just paying dividends. But the second half, Pat Lam must have got around the boys at half time, because the second half, Bristol just came out firing, start really fast. Tom Jordan coming on at 10 seemed to make a big difference.
He was very aggressive in defence, wasn't he?
he's big and physical. He's ambitious with the ball, but he often puts himself in the kind of firing line. You know, he had a couple of opportunities at chips and returns that nearly came off. You know, he's quick. You know, that running threat at 10, I think, really helps Bristol, particularly with Harry Randall playing as well as he was at 9. This was one of Harry Randall's best games this season, I thought. Back to some serious form. They get the penalty try just before 45 minutes. Another brain fade from Arundel in defence, tipping the ball on with his fingertips when he probably should have just held his ground and gone for the tackle on Lewis Rees-Zammit.
Yeah.
It gives away the penalty try. And just Bristol were well on top. Lewis Rees-Zammit knocked on over the try line from another chip and chase. Really nice break down the right. Just gasses everyone as Lewis Rees-Zammit does. Nearly collects it. Does a bit of feigning the injury, just to take the heat off himself for a bit. If you watch Lewis Rees-Zammit a lot, as I have for Gloucester and for Bristol now, if something goes wrong, just check to see how long he sort of feels the ankle and knees afterwards.
It's all the time. It is all the time. He's always feigning an injury. It's the reason why something hasn't gone right. I picked up on it like the first few weeks of the season.
Yeah, just puts on the limp.
Yeah,
just to make sure that the heat comes off the mistake.
That's part of the reason why I think when they got the shellacking from Saints, he was so annoyed that Rich Lane got subbed off, because it meant he couldn't be subbed off because they only had one back on the bench.
Yeah, he had to play the whole game, didn't he?
He had to stay out there and keep getting shellacked. But I think for this game, Rory, like you've summed it up nicely there. But the headline matchup was surely Janci van Rensburg up against Ajomo and Lawrence. And sorry, Bar fans, there was only one winner there.
Player of the match, Bernard Janci van Rensburg, head and shoulders above the other two.
Absolutely answered all the critics, and I've seen very little comments in the Facebook groups and the other groups saying, "Oh, why is Ajomo and Lawrence not in ahead of Janci van Rensburg?" Well, there's your answer, folks.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was really summed up when he got that turnover on Max Ajomo when Bath were in the red zone. You know, it was a good tackle by Moroney, I think, but he just comes in so fast, like an elite flanker, and jackals in when Bath are, you know, if they'd gone one more phase, I think they'd probably score. It's those kind of interventions that put international class players above everyone else. And I'm sorry to say, Bath centres did not have that impact. I know Lawrence scored, but outside of that,
what else did
pretty quiet. Max Ajomo, pretty quiet in this game. And I think questions probably do now have to be asked of whether the Bath game plan is stifling the development of these players. And you know, if you're not going to say it, I'm going to say it, David. I think Bath need to open up a little bit, because they are losing the impact of the players of the quality of Max Ajomo and Oil Lawrence. And frankly, a man as outspoken as you has been cowardly not to bring it up before now.
That is very astute of you, Rory, to identify this issue that no one else before you has made. Yeah,
someone's got to say it. Someone's got to say it.
It's just cemented by their attritional game plan is to the detriment of their outside backs. And when you get a game where your pack is matched, which in this game Bristol fronted up, it was a tough first half, but the second half they came out and they fronted up and they defended. If you stop Bath in the pack, you stop Bath, and I think people have figured that out, which is why they've lost. Have they lost 5 in a row now across all competitions? I think they've been figured out a little bit. Now, whether they're resting Finn Russell and they're holding things back because they know knockouts are coming, there's a debate to be had there. But it is telling that, like, you look at the stats week in, week out of Bath, that their back three, like, if it not for every so often Henry Arundel kind of getting an intercept or doing a full length of the pitch run, just stat padding his meters, that back three in the centres and just their backs in general have such small amount of meters carried and line breaks and things like that compared to the rest of the league. It's worrying me as a Bath.
They've lost 4 of the last 5, David. And if we look back at some of these results, so the one win they got was the big win against the Red Bulls at the Rec. No great surprise there.
Yeah.
So this game against Bristol, where Bristol absolutely fronted up and matched them physically. Away at Exeter, well, we know Exeter Chiefs pack is a big unit, and they've been working on that, and they've got, think, the best defence in the league, or close to.
Yeah, I think it's them and Leicester have the fewest tries conceded, don't they? Which is why the final game's really interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. Bordeaux, well, everyone knows the state of their pack. And before that, it was away at Northampton.
Monstrous pack.
And well, on their day, Northampton's pack is absolutely phenomenal. You know, the likes of Iogan, Lockett, Prowse, Van der Mescht, Kemley, Graham, Pollock. You know, those are not shrinking violets in defence. So, yeah, I think there absolutely has to be questions made now of whether Bath's style at the business end of the season, when there's no shortage of motivation to front up physically, actually does it have enough to overcome other teams whose packs, if they're fit and available, can maybe match them at this level. And, you know, the caveat here, I will say, you know, Ethan Staddon starts, you know, Underhill's at 8, it's not a natural 8. You know, Ewan Richards coming on, Kepa Tupelotu starts. But it's a small caveat when you look at the other names on there. Abano, Tom Satoy, Ted Hill, Charlie Ewells, Guy Pett 8, but he's still there. Bob comes on. Van Veek comes on. Yeah. I don't think you can't really question that. So the Bath fans will point out to Dan Frost's disallowed try, Carreras missing the penalty at the end to snatch the win. But, you know, Bristol fans will push back on, you know, Harry Randall gets held up by Ted Hill very well. Actually, Ted Hill, I thought, did actually have a good game, and he's been pretty honest in the media about being omitted from England squads, and he seems like he's finding some motivation of his own at the moment. But, you know, yeah, Bath had a couple of tries disallowed and a couple of other opportunities. I say we mentioned the Bernard Janssen van Rensburg turnover quite close to the line. You know, there was another couple of occasions when Bath got really close to the red zone. But other teams have done this, and we've accused them of profligacy.
Yeah,
actually, maybe that's part of the problem at the moment. And questions have to be asked at the Rec whether they're playing the right brand of rugby at the moment.
Well, I'll say 5-6 weeks ago, Rory, they all laughed at me. They were all laughing at me. They're all seeing sense now. You're all coming on board with my opinions on Bath, and I'm glad to see that my analysis has been apt to date on Bath's downfall. And we'll see if that continues.
Thank God you've been magnanimous about it.
But yeah, game ended. What was the final score, Rory?
21-19 to Bristol.
21-19 to Bristol. Big win for Bristol, giving them a slither of hope of potentially getting fourth spot, notwithstanding the results we're going to go through the rest of this pod. But at that point in time, Bristol very much thinking they're still in the race. One of the other protagonists in that race is in our next game, which is Saracens versus Harlequins, which on paper seemed like an easy win for Saracens. But I'll give you anecdotally, when I watched this game with my partner, she said she was concentrating on the baby, so wasn't watching it closely. But she said every time she looked up, it felt like Harlequins were the better team, and they were the team in the ascendancy. And I kind of could see where she was coming from, because I think a lot of the rugby was being played by Harlequins, and Saracens the lead early, but then kind of failed to pull away, and Harlequins seem to have found this ability these last few weeks to kind of have a second wind, and that almost came through, I'd say, to a degree.
I can absolutely see where she's coming from. I think Quins look really good ball in hand, and they played some attractive stuff. But I think actually, if you dig deeper on it, I think Quins played a lot of good rugby. You know, to take a sort of slight football analogy, you know, in front of the back four.
Yeah,
they didn't.
Yeah.
It was a lot of it was a lot of nice stuff behind the gain line, very attractive stuff. And actually, I thought Quins looked better than they have done in a lot of recent weeks.
I think they've been looking a lot better these last couple of weeks.
Obviously they got that win against Exeter at the Allianz recently. But whilst I would agree that Quins, and I suspect, you know, you're a man in the stats, there's probably some interesting sort of anomalies in terms of possession or territory even in this that I haven't seen. But I never really thought Saracens were in any danger in this one.
Oh, no. No, I agree. I don't think Saracens are in any danger, but it was an interesting observation, I thought, that to kind of a neutral not paying too much attention felt like the scoreline should have been the other way round, because every time they were watching, it looked like Harlequins were the one doing all the rugby.
Yeah, and look, I think...
But it means nothing, because the result was Saracens won. So,
well, and ultimately, I think what this sort of highlights is probably one of the sort of issues that Quins have had, not just this season, but really in quite a few recent seasons where they've maybe not lived up to the expectations of their fans, where it's a lot of flash, it's a lot of entertainment, it's a lot of showmanship. But how often were they really breaking the door down? I mean, I thought Charlie Cunningham himself, yellow card aside, which was a daft one early on to give away the penalty try. I thought physically he was pretty strong. I thought Alex Don Brown carried on a good rate, a run of form that he's in.
Yeah.
Their locks I thought were really good. Zach Carr
I
Elliot
really, really like Zach Carr and Elliot Williams as a pairing.
I think. Yeah, I think they were really good. I thought Sam Riley was very good once again. He's really come into his own at the moment as a hooker. And they all had good moments in this game. But if I compare it to the players on the other team who had good moments, Maro Itoje looked in absolute beast mode in this one in defence. He was just so dominant. Tom Willis, barring a couple of slightly more even scuffings with Chandler Cunningham South, was physically.
I feel like Harlequins did a really good job of shackling him, barring the try he set up. That was
but exactly. But he did a really good job of shackling him, barring the try he set up. They shackled him in sense of he didn't get as many runs as he has done in other games, but then he's still in a game where he's been fairly shackled. Sets up a try with a big physical carry and a fend and an offload.
Yeah, it's by Tom Willis standards, that's just not good enough. He needs to do that 5 times.
Sure. No. I appreciate that, and you're right to call it out. Actually, Tom Willis was very quiet in this game, barring the try he set up.
No, what I'm saying is Tom Willis tried his best and he played well, but I thought Harlequins did a really, really good job.
No, you're right. I'm being fairly facetious, but I think he could afford to be slightly quieter in this one because Ben R was very dominant.
Yes, absolutely.
Izzard was dominant.
A number of other players stood up.
Ironi Maui was pretty monstrous when he was on the pitch.
Yeah.
Ollie Hartley, once again,
really like him.
Really monstrous. His carry and offload for Tompkins' try. That the pace he put on the ball, the line he took, and then the ability to throw that offload out the back. It's a compelling sign of where his development's going.
Yeah.
And, I think
don't rule him out of World Cup contention next year.
On the current trajectory, I think he's a very similar type player to Seb Atkinson. But that's no bad thing because Seb Atkinson's been very good in the league for the last couple of years. And actually having those two as sort of natural 12s playing week in, week out in the Prem is
very interesting.
Asks good questions for Borthwick. And I think he's starting to ask those questions. I suspect this summer's going to come too early for him to get a look in. But certainly some questions being asked as to where his development could take him.
If he avoids injuries, I'll be really interested to see where he is this time next year.
That's the big question with him, isn't it? Because he has got a bit of an injury record already. But if he does, compelling.
But I also we're dancing around the one person I do want to talk about. It's a Saracens winger, but it's not the one everyone else is always talking about all the time.
I was just going to come on to him. Toby Elliott.
What a performance.
I mean, not many wings in this league have outshone Noah Kalori in the air, but he did that.
Yeah.
He utterly bullied poor Cam Anderson on the other side.
He had a bad
horrid old time of it against him. He properly burst on the scene last season, and I don't really know why he's not had quite so many opportunities this season. I feel like he's been loaned out.
I suspect injuries as well.
I'm sure there have been injuries. But last season, he was such a lethal finisher. He's another one who looks to have really grown physically. He's got a broad old back on him.
Yeah.
He's a tall lad. If he continues to show that much ability in the air and physicality in defence, I tell you what he slightly reminded me of in this game was a young Ollie Thorley when he came onto the scene.
Yeah.
That sort of physicality and, but probably Ollie Thorley with a more rounded skill set, if I'm going to be slightly...
Like Jack Now, but with a few more inches.
Yeah, taller Jack Now, it just busy, nuggety, physical, and aggressive. I got the feeling. I mean, he makes the tackle on Cam Anderson that gets the scrum that leads to the first try.
Yeah.
He dominated Cam Anderson so many times. I got the feeling he was rather enjoying bullying someone on the pitch. And, whilst we don't condone bullying in our playgrounds and in our workplaces, I condone it on the rugby pitch because there is something about physically dominating your opposite number on a rugby pitch that is satisfying, and watching it happen is satisfying. As a prop, it's a competition you get every week in the scrum, and if you can bully the person in front of you,
you're having a lovely day. You're having a lovely day when that happens.
You are. Seeing a winger do it is pretty special as well.
No, I agree.
I've got to say, I thought, yeah, you're absolutely right. Tobias said it was just fabulous in this game. Max Malin's another one really good, coming back into some real form after some stinkers early in the season.
Yeah, I was quite critical of him at the start of the season, but I take it all back now. He's looking a lot more like the Max Malins of past, where he is just elusive, dangerous, and a real threat.
Yeah, and Saracens looking a lot more like the Saracens of the past, and I think very much down to the Bracken-Burke halfback partnership that they've got going at the moment.
I like it. I like it a lot.
And having that partnership to start with Van Zyl and Farrell to come on later in the game, and once you're ahead, and just take the sting out of it. That's a formula that feels very Saracens, and it's a formula that feels very Saracens on a title charge. And with the motivation they've got in that squad this season in particular, the fact that they are now there.
They're playing for Mark McCall, aren't they?
They're playing for Mark McCall. They have got no shortage of motivation. And if we look at... So they are now 3 points below Exeter.
And who do they play in the last round? Yeah.
Their last few results, so beating Quins, beating Gloucester, okay, based on this season's form, not surprising results. Beating Bristol very comfortably at Ashton Gate, 41-26. Beating Tigers at home, 19-15. Battering Sale away, 85-19. The form they're in at the moment, since they lost to Bath in the Champions Cup,
I just fear their form's come one round too late to them. It may well have.
Yeah, I think that's possibly the case. It's time to it's going to be a case of too little, too late, possibly. But if any team was going to go away to the Chiefs this weekend to get that last playoff spot, this Saracens team is the one that would do it. I think
they are the form team. So yeah, no, I completely agree. It's very exciting what they're doing down there, which as a Saints fan, as I've said before, very painful to admit, but you got to recognise something that's being done really well, and you can't ignore it.
100%.
And I do really like what they're doing with their young backs and to a lesser extent their young forwards that they're kind of easing into first team rugby. I can only applaud it, which is really difficult to say because we should hate Saracens by all accounts, but it's hard to hate them this year for sure. But yeah, I think was it 28-12 this game ended?
26-12. That Saracens' ruthless streak, meaning they got the try in the 81st minute with a line out, or having bundled poor Stu Townsend into the first row of the stands off the kickoff. That ruthless streak, ominous.
It is ominous, and I think that shows how hungry they are, because they were fighting tooth and nail for that final bonus point, because they know every point counts. Whether it's enough will remain to be seen, but it certainly helped them out for sure. Next game, Rory, the Armob Derby. I'm not going to gloat. I'm not going to sing and shout about anything here, because this was a game that, in the run-up, you said yourself that you didn't want to go to this game because you didn't want to watch Gloucester get bullied and have a cricket score put on them. So,
well, I also knew I wasn't going to be...
we also knew you weren't in the country. But like that, I think everyone was expecting this to be a one-sided affair.
Yeah, and it wasn't. And let's be honest, we was robbed.
Not sure about that.
No, look, if you told me at the start of the day on Saturday, Gloucester are going to come away from Franklin's Gardens with 2 losing bonus points, I'd have bitten your hand off.
Yeah.
But to lose it last minute of the game, it sticks to the core a little bit because watching this game back, I thought it had all the hallmarks of where Gloucester were absolutely at their best in recent seasons. And the blueprint for what this Gloucester team could potentially be next season. It's the running joke of the league. Next year's always Gloucester's year.
Yeah.
But just to take some of the raw ingredients out of this performance for Gloucester, the midfield absolutely dominated. Seb Atkinson and Max Llewellyn were absolutely phenomenal, and Rory Hutchinson scored a very good try off a Finn Smith grubber kick, which is excellent grubber kick, by the way. But Hutchinson and Litchfield were pretty well bullied in this game. Gloucester's defence in general in the midfield was excellent.
It was very good.
And it took some special play from Saints to score some of their tries, and they did score some special tries. Let's have no bones about it. The Finn Smith try going coast to coast was
something special.
It was absolutely fantastic. But in that back line, Ollie Thorley, I thought absolutely back to his best in this game. Just used really, really well in a way that he sometimes hasn't been this season. But just an absolute battering ram of performance. And there will be some Saints players who will have nightmares of Ollie Thorley peeling round a Gloucester line-out because the way they were using him as a first-up carrier was, it was doing some real damage. Charlie Atkinson carrying on a really good run of form, looked excellent in this game. Ben Redshaw kind of atoning to some earlier performances against Tigers in particular.
Yeah.
Much better. The tackle he put in on Tommy Freeman in the corner.
Yeah, I was going to say that was his moment. That was like the standout moment for him because he's not been known for his defence in the past.
No, and I think he got dropped after his defensive performance against Tigers at Villa Park because where he was just not committed. Well, that shot showed that he's got it in the tank.
Yeah,
and that's the level now. Up front, I thought Seb Blake was phenomenal. Darts were very good, but I thought his all-round play around the pitch, the physicality with which he played with was excellent. Arthur Clarke was just dominating, physically dominating all over the park. Freddie Thomas was very good. Dan Gwynn scored a really nice try in the line-out maul, and just sort of Nuggety, his development's really exciting. Venter carrying on his run of form, but Will Trenham at 8 as a burst through player in what has been a poor old season, but for Gloucester as a whole, his commitment to the cause at 8 is something to behold. He just keeps going, just keeps on carrying and running and tackling, and he's a player it's very easy to love because he's just such a workhorse. And to come out of sort of relative obscurity and have the impact he's had, it's really, really good to see. Look forward to where it goes next season. But the Gloucester performance all round, I was delighted by. Good mixture of tries, line out mauls, ruthless edge, Thorley's try when Hendy's off the pitch. Really nice play for Seb Atkinson's try. Ben Loader, a first phase move off a scrum. I mean, quite poor defence from Saints, but it was a good move. Max Llewellyn, another one, first phase move. But there's no getting around it. The Saints won this game, and I think the way they fronted up in what was probably overall a pretty average performance by their standards, to have some magic moments and hold their nerve and win it in the 80th. It screams champions. And you're right. On paper, there's no way this game should have been this close. Saints should have won this one very comfortably. But, sometimes the game throws up these kind of results and these kind of performances. Gloucester
turned up
to a better extent than they have in the league all season, maybe barring the Exeter Chiefs performance. Certainly their best performance away from home all season. Even contending for the win away at the Stoop, this was a much better performance all round. Saints dug in. They stood up to really, really fierce defence from Gloucester, some really direct physical running from Gloucester, clung in there. And, picked out the right time to perform magic moments. I'll come back to the Finn Smith try, the Hutchinson try, Freeman's try, Sam Graham, that break that Pearson makes, and it doesn't quite work out for Freeman's. Doesn't quite work out, but Freeman goes in the corner. Sam Graham's try where it's just really big, direct running both sides of the ruck, just creating pressure you can't resist in the end, and then just having that ruthless edge to keep going, keep piling the pressure on, forcing discipline mistakes from Gloucester, and Furbank cutting that great line, which he's very, very capable of, and that line off Finn Smith to score it. It's a ruthless edge that they're going to need to win this league, but they are eking out results even when they're not at their best. And whilst I think they'll need to turn that form around to win the league overall, winning's a habit, and they've got it.
They've certainly got it. There is a correlation with Northampton that every time there's a rest week or an international camp, we seem to perform quite badly the week after, whether it's because we had 9 players who are in that training camp. It's very hard to then prepare for a weekend when you're missing half of your first team. So I reckon there is a bit of a correlation there. So I put part of it down to that. I put most of it down to how well Gloucester performed. And it's not a performance that I'm coming away from thinking, yes, Saints are still on fire. But you're right. It's that ability that we've kind of had since Six Nations. Barring the Leicester debacle and losing to Bath, we've been able to win most games we've not been playing well at. And this was just another example of that. I think there's just a belief that they'll win every game that they're in. And if they're within touching distance with a minute left on the clock, they still believe they'll win. And I think that goes a long way when you come to the business end of a competition. So it does fill me with confidence that we've still got that. It'll be interesting to see what Northampton do next week against Harlequins, because they've now secured top spot with Bath losing to Bristol. So
you give it away to Quins and we lose 8th spot, I'll be very, very upset. Although we have got Newcastle at home, and hopefully we should.
Well, if you perform as well as you have done against Northampton, against Newcastle,
that's true. We should.
You should, and we gave you 2 points, so we've given you as much help as we can.
Gave.
No. Okay, you've earned 2 points.
Thank you.
Quite deservedly. So next week will be interesting to see what sort of team we do put out, and then all eyes from a Saints perspective is who lands in that 4th position, and because there's a few permutations of the sides that can land there.
Yeah, can I raise some points of contention from this game though?
Oh yeah, I'm sure there are.
Well, not points of contention, points to discuss. First and foremost, the Hendy try should never have stood right. That ball wasn't out.
I don't know what you mean.
I think you do. I'm just putting that out there just to, I think it needs to be acknowledged that wasn't a try. But anyway, 2 other issues that are all pertaining to Saints in general. Very quick to get on the wrong side of the referee.
Oh.
And it's Matt Carley, so,
easily done.
He could get on the wrong side of, of his car. He's a cantankerous individual, let's say.
Yeah.
But you annoyed him very, very quickly. Manny Iogan's yellow card, in isolation was harsh, but actually in the lead up to it, you have to say it was a pretty daft thing to do when you had so quickly pissed him off.
Yeah, it had shades of that Leicester performance where we conceded like 6 penalties in the first 5 minutes of the game. It was Saints and the offside line this season seem to be bordering on. It's not working. I don't know why it's not working. Whether teams have figured out that Saints are just trigger happy on the pick and go, and we just get pinged for offside almost every time we're inside our own 22, and it just accumulates. And then when our scrum was just being rubbed, like we're just conceding penalties left, right, and centre, and then George Furbank goes and says a naughty word, and Matthew Carley thinks it's directed at him. I don't know if it was. George Furbank seemed to think it wasn't. But yeah, it wasn't.
I just wonder, is there an attitude amongst Saints players at the moment that is a bit pervasive? Because we have to talk about him. It's the obligatory Henry Pollock chat. The reaction to a perfectly fine tackle from Will Trenholm on him to then start the wrestle. Is it a sign that there's kind of this? I don't know. Is it an arrogance in the Saints camp? Are Northampton Saints an overly arrogant team /club/fan base? David, discuss.
No, they're not.
I disagree, but that's fine.
Discussion closed. No, I don't think it's arrogance. I think. I think. So the whole Pollock thing. I think he now is in a position where he has a decision to make with his game. Whether he continues with this spiky nature where it seems every single game there's an instant where there's holding on the ground, there's something going on kind of off the ball. I think referees are becoming smarter to it, and he's probably, if he's not careful, he's going to start getting away with very little of what he does. I think this is one of the first games where he's repeatedly getting pinged for his style of going over a ruck to try and slow down the ball, but looking like he's competing for the ball. Like, it's something he regularly does, but this is probably the first time I've seen him pinged a couple of times for it. So he specifically, as we are on the Pollock Hour, he needs to think about how he picks his moments in games, whether he just gets his head down and does the dirty work, which he does very well. Like, you can't argue he still had a good game, but it's those moments where he seems to choose to make a bit of a point, a bit of a song of a dance, a bit of a, I don't know, like I said on commentary, Eddie Hearn maybe encouraging him to have some, boxing style, face-to-face push and shoves. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
it loses impact if you do it once or twice every single game, isn't it?
Well, exactly, and it's not serving much of a purpose. And I do wonder if there will ever be a point where the Saints players will be like, this is getting a bit annoying now, Henry. Can you just wind your neck in a little bit and just concentrate on the game? Because there will inevitably be a moment in the future where he'll be busy resting on the ground with someone where he could have been in the defensive line, and then there'll be a gap, and he'll get exploited.
Yeah.
So there's definitely a talking point around that, but I still stand by my statement that I don't want him to change, and I still think he is a positive force for the sport and for the league and for Northampton Saints. I don't think it's arrogance. I think it's a need to find a balance about when to time these sorts of things, because there's a time and place, and it's not every game, and it's not every time. As for your accusation that the fan base and the club is arrogant, it's just completely unfounded, Rory.
Well, I agree to disagree. Yes, on that admission by David that Saints are an arrogant club and fan base, that game finished Northampton Saints 36, Gloucester 32. Heartbreak for Gloucester, but the Saints
go marching
championship charge rolls on.
Yeah, absolutely. And in a completely unarrogant way, we're top of the table and are the rightful champions of the league if it wasn't for this silly playoff system. But hey, got to do what we got to do, haven't we? Got to go beat them in every other sort of way, which we will, because, we're that arrogant. We'll do it.
You heard it here first, folks.
Now, next game, we're not talking about two teams. We're not talking about two teams involved in the playoff race here. We're not talking about...
Very much not.
We're talking about the other side of the table. We're talking about the Red Bulls. We're talking about the Sale Sharks, probably the two teams really wishing this season had ended already.
Yeah.
And one of these teams probably wishes even more, but it's not the Red Bulls.
Yes. No. So it might not have escaped too many listeners' attention that we've not talked about the Red Bulls much in recent weeks, because
they keep getting thumped.
If David and I are honest, and we were very effusive about the Red Bulls project at the start of the season, and we're looking forward to where it goes next season, but we'd rather run out of steam and enthusiasm about them for this season, because it was getting a little bit...
It was hard to provide good analysis when the analysis was basically they were not playing well and they were getting thumped far too easily. End of analysis.
Yeah, when it was week in, week out washouts, ultimately it wasn't too much interest to us. Not the case this week, David.
No.
I'm going to say it, comeback of the season.
Yeah.
10:35 down at half time. Red Bulls win 45-42. Sale Sharks collapsing under the sheer weight of Geordie pressure. What did you make of it?
It was bizarre to a degree, because that second half it felt inevitable. Like, it's just the momentum swing was just so impressive, and I can't put my finger on it exactly where it was, but I think a number of the substitutions Newcastle made So I think bringing on Ben Healy and Cammy Hutchinson made a
Yeah.
huge difference. And
Yeah, I thought Ben Healy in particular, and I'm a big fan of Brett Conham, but I thought Ben Healy was a big difference maker.
Oh, he absolutely steered that ship just perfectly. And the Sale didn't have an answer. And so I know Sale fans, if there are any left, would probably point to the fact that they chose quite an inexperienced side. Their back row was Seb Kelly, a player that we've kind of pinpointed in the past, Ruben Logan, another young player, and Sam Dugdale, who's very experienced. Been around a little bit. But they certainly threw the dice a little bit in their team selection. But I still don't think that makes up for the fact that Newcastle were just an unstoppable force in the second half. And I can't put my finger on exactly why it clicked, but it did.
Yeah.
And I don't know why.
Yeah,
but I enjoyed watching it, wherever it was.
I did too. Yeah, I did too. I thought I don't know what you're right. It's difficult to actually see it. It just felt like Sale rather lost interest.
Well,
they lost impact. They early on the likes of Mazzy White were.
It's because Sale started so strongly. I think that's why it's so confusing, because they looked like they were going to run away with it at half time. And the likes of Roebuck at 13 was having a bit of a lovely day.
He was having a great time of it, scoring with his first touch at 13.
Yeah, brilliant. It was brilliant. And they were looking dominant. They were looking powerful. But it just, second half, like the Newcastle carries just all of a sudden became dominant carries almost exclusively. And where in the past they just seemed to have no direction and no steer, they just suddenly seem to have a coherent game plan. It just doesn't make sense unless Stephen Jones pulled off the most awe-inspiring team talk at half-time. I just cannot fathom how you can have such a change of fortunes in a half-time window. I'm still a bit confused now as to how it happened. And it really is a nail in what has been a rather poor season for Sale. In the coffin that is the 25-26 season in the Prem, for sure. Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, I think Sale just have to go back to the drawing board. This sort of Alex Sanderson, Sarries light game plan that they've been playing for the last couple of years, when it works, it works. And when you've got, a couple of Duprees, a couple of Currys, those kind of things can work just through the sheer quality of player you have on the pitch. When those players aren't available, as they're frequently not, including I think all the Duprees are now leaving or have left, I don't feel like they've got a game plan beyond let's hope George Ford picks the right pass. Yeah.
Tackle Maul ruck and then give it to Fordy to either kick it into space or pick a good pass. They don't seem to have an attacking flow.
No.
They also just seem quite low quality, and it feels like a harsh thing to say, and they have got a lot of injuries. And I'm not discounting the fact that any team would suffer losing both Currys, all the Duprees, Luke Cowan-Dickey. I do appreciate that this is a tough moment for Sale injury wise, and they've got some good players who are coming in next year that might raise.
Their recruitment is probably the best of the lot for next season.
Yeah, I think that's fair, but the foundations look a bit shaky to me at the moment, and I really like Al Sanderson. I like the way he speaks. I like how straight talking he is. I like that he's got an attitude about him. But is it coming to a bit of an impasse at the moment where he just doesn't seem to be connecting with the players? Because once they lose that absolute commitment in defence, like they did in this game and have done in recent weeks, what's left in this team?
It's a fair challenge, I think. Well, obviously, because they've lost Byron McGuigan full-time to England now as well. So whether that's going to be having an impact, it does make you think something hasn't felt quite right up at Sale. I've been calling it for a little while now that they just look physically knackered because their game plan is just to tackle, and it feels like that their bodies have been put on the line, and it's a long old season. And When
Summer can't come soon enough for them, can it?
No, and you consider the amount of injuries they've had. Some players who probably aren't used to playing as much as they have been are rolling out week on week, and it's a hard slog. And when you're not winning games and you're playing for nothing, that's hard to get yourself up for. Like you credit for that. They're trying to do the thing that like Harlequins are doing of blooding the players for next season, the ones that they want to be pushing for first team.
Oh, and look, some of these lads I'm very excited. Mark pointed out Seb Kelly to us some months ago, and
very impressive.
I thought he was really impressive. Ruben Logan, we've been excited about for a little while,
Yeah.
and he's, you can tell he's still got a bit of development to go, but he looked pretty good in this one. I think Alfie Longstaff, the hooker,
yeah, he's good.
I think he's very good. But yeah, I'd be honest, giving up a 25-point lead at half time would be bad against anyone. Giving it up against this Red Bull side is really poor.
Yeah. Also, how good was Amanaki Mafi?
Well, that was one of the names that I was going to shout at. I would say it's been a harshly disappointing return from Mafi this season. He's been put in a position where he is the star name in a team that's not got much around him, and he got asked to do too much work too early, and I think it's put paid to his impact this season. He was brilliant in this one. I mean, the power for his try was phenomenal, but every time he got the ball, it was like fireworks were going off.
Yeah.
Tom Christie, I thought, was world class in this one. He was so highly rated when they signed him from the Crusaders. You can see why in this. Yeah, you really see the quality of the player in there, and he'll be one who will glue them together, because his very old-fashioned 7 link play between forwards and backs from him, and his ability to do that with the players they've got coming in, if he can provide that extra link man, he's going to be a very key player for them next season. Leather Barrow, we've liked him for a while. We've liked him for a lot this season. Just carries. And there's still the Cruz at 9. I think still a very exciting player. Obotoyembo's still performing really well at this level. Christian Wade pulled out some good moments. Didn't quite score this week, but his grubber it was his grubber that Reed carried over. Yeah. That Maffey scored from. He's still having impact. And then the man of the hour, Alex Hurl.
Hat-trick.
Hat-trick. I mean, I liked Alex Hurl.
Still huge question marks defensively around him. But
yeah, absolutely. But a hat-trick and scoring the winning try off the Cam Hutchison break at the end. I liked Hurl at Gloucester, but I always thought, good player, good squad player, but it's when he left, it was like, no, good luck to him. I hope it goes well for him up there. Well, it has, and he's done really, really well. They've kept him on for next season, which is a testament to his performance levels. Performing in this Red Bulls team has not been easy for a lot of players this season, but I would say that Hurl is one of their shining lights, which is definitely why they've kept him on. That moment of him running under the sticks, I mean, a very average splashdown. But other than that, lovely to see. There's a really good angle they've got from behind the posts of when they make the break and run it in. And the smiles on faces is something to behold. Wins have been few and far between for Newcastle at the best of times the last few years. This felt a bit special for them to win it in that manner.
It felt like a really apt way to end the season, because last game at Kingston Park before, a bit of stardust comes flooding in next season. Just briefly on next season, I'm really hoping that the rumours that Faihi Fainganoko, probably butchered his name, but the New Zealand, I think...
Oh, I think they've bought out his contract or something, have they?
Yeah, so they deny it. Basically, New Zealand are basically wanting to stop him from going there, because he's basically tearing up the competition out there. I really hope that's not true, because I'd love to see him in the Prem. But
tearing up in Super Rugby is code for I want to see them in the Prem.
Yes, absolutely. I think it was an absolutely wonderful way for them to end a season for their fans who probably thought it was going to be a bit more exciting to stick by them. So any fans who've stuck with them to this very final game, that they're able to give them that before an exciting summer and exciting season ahead for them.
Yeah,
it's quite a nice feeling, quite nice. It was nice for Newcastle to have one nice moment this season, because there's not been many.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And that's not to patronise it. It just is what it is. And actually, you saw the joy on the players' faces when they won it.
Yeah,
I suspect they're still hungover today. And,
yeah,
long may that continue because they've got to come to
yeah,
Kingsland
yeah,
at the weekend.
yeah. If they want to
We
do
can redo it.
a week long binge is absolutely fine in this scenario. Newcastle players, Gloucester won't mind it at all.
No.
But yeah, so what was the final score in the end, Rory?
Newcastle Rebels 45, Sale 42.
Lovely humdinger, 87 pointer. Can't go wrong. Then final game of the round. Again, another humdinger. Leicester against Exeter Chiefs. Basically,
Yeah.
third versus fourth, and Leicester's opportunity to spring themselves above Bath in the table. Exeter's opportunity to try and fend off the competition from Bristol and Saracens. Leicester at Welford Road, really hard to beat. Exeter looked a bit weary last round, didn't question marks over their fitness and the form and the injuries they're carrying. Everything going into this game was pointed in one direction. And once again, it didn't end up that way because Exeter were so good.
They're magnificent, yeah. Two teams that neither of us like to praise.
Yeah.
But, yeah, you're right. Going into this game, I would have predicted the Tigers win all day of the week. It's... and to be honest, at points you would, you'd be forgiven for thinking it was just going to go that way, And there were some good performers on the Tigers side. I thought Pearson was excellent at fullback.
Yeah, really good under the high ball.
I thought Titcombe did pretty well at 10 in obviously it was slightly difficult circumstances coming in to fill in for Billy Searle and James O'Connor so they can keep their centre partnership as Bailey and Wand. But Chiefs stood up to Tigers' physicality in a way that no other team has done in recent weeks. And some big performances from their big name players. Lenny Catal, just impact. Bayo Waboso, that break.
That's prime Waboso.
Yeah. Just ghosting through, putting Ollie Woodburn in under the sticks. Henry Slade, just an absolute Rolls Royce performance once again. And, to kick that, firstly to kick the conversion off Zamboni and then to kick that penalty, just to hold his nerve. And I know the penalty wasn't the hardest kick in the world, but holding the nerve to leave Tigers not taking a single point at home, that is balls like walls.
Yeah.
And, if Henry Slade's in that kind of form, he is just one of the best around. And then up front, Scott's excellent, Norrie excellent, Daft Jenkins' performance.
Yeah.
Zamboni, brilliant once again.
His work
finish for his try. Work at the lineup and there's finish for his try. The step and go and to finish in the corner. Just he is turning into a special type of player at second row.
Yeah.
And the back row, all the back row were very good, but Hooper and Roots on the flanks were just nails. And Roots, I might argue he should still be on a ban, but his work around the pitch, his work with the ball in hand, it's Chiefs playing like that are a very, very attractive team to watch.
They are, and the Chiefs playing like that are a Chiefs side that can beat anyone. And
yeah,
that's so. 2 weeks ago, we were saying they were looking like they were tired, and they were kind of, arguably, potentially being out of the running for the playoffs. I think this performance puts that theory to bed to a degree. Because they're still up for it, and they're still churning. If they could churn out this performance now, they've got a lot to play for still.
I mean, the defence in the second half from them.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good. They've absolutely nullified everything that has made Leicester so hard to beat this season. At the set piece, Exeter matched them at the scrum most of the time.
Bar in the Cracknell tribe.
Bar in the
Cracknell tribe. Massive scrum off that one.
Yeah. They just absolutely dismantled the Leicester line out, which is not something anyone's been able to do this season, I don't think. No,
they were fantastic there. It's Zamboni. Zamboni, I think, is becoming one of the best line-out forwards in the Northern Hemisphere.
On the evidence of that game, is really hard to disagree with you. So, yeah. And like you say, their defence, I think having Ikatal back and thank God he has come back, because it's been really good. We've been able to see a bit of him in the Prem, because I was a bit worried he was going to be one of those lost players. I think his partnership with Slade in that centre channel,
Classical.
it's classical. It's so rock solid. And, you know, we've been waxing lyrical about the likes of Will Wand and that partnership with Orlando Bailey and being able to unlock and unleash Hassel Collins and Radwan. I know Radwan had a couple of moments, but Hassel Collins, pretty anonymous to this game. Will Wand had a couple of moments, but
nowhere near the impact he's had in most recent weeks.
No. So I think what we saw here is the evidence of why Exeter are. I think they have conceded the fewest tries. Leicester were the other side that are up there with them. But I think the stardust that Exeter have been able to bring back in Ikitau and Feo Boso coming back from injury is why they were able to go that one bit further and kind of put Leicester put the game to the sword, because that stardust that they've got with this just absolutely fierce defence, it's so impressive. And
Fizzalau as well.
So they've timed the return of the likes of Fizzalau, Feo Boso. Ethan Root's back from suspension, arguably probably not warranted, but I think the return of those players has been basically ideal. Stephen Varney continues to be incredibly impressive, and
he's been so good this season. He was so good again. I mean, in this team, he actually doesn't make a lot of. Or doesn't seem to get as much sort of much of his running game going, which he absolutely has. He had a couple of moments in this one, but his passing game is. And I wonder if it's a specific tactic with Exeter, is they just want him to bring his passing game, because the wide passes he makes off the base are. I mean, they just take out defensive lines,
and he just makes good decisions. And the thing is, I should absolutely dislike Stephen Varney, because I just detest box kicking. And he does more box kicks than any other nine, and he kicks more than any other nine. But he just seems to make the right decision at the right times.
Yeah. I mean, that is also partly because Harvey Skinner is one of the poorer kickers at 10 in the league.
Well, and Stephen Varney seems to play 80 minutes week in, week out, because for some reason they do not trust Tom Cairns to come on and replace him.
No, they signed Steve Varney and Charlie Chapman. I don't think I've seen Charlie Chapman more than twice this season.
No, they've decided that Varney is an 80-minute scrum half, which may explain why he's.
Well, it's working for them.
Yeah. Why change a recipe that works? But it's really interesting, because I thought everything before this game was pointing towards Saracens having fourth place locked up. Now the question marks remain: could Leicester end up in fourth place? Which, as a Saints fan, finishing first would not be ideal, because they're our bogey team this season, it seems. So but that's how it's interesting.
We'll do some predictions in a bit, but I have to say, I didn't see this performance coming from Tigers. I thought they were they weren't abjectly poor, but they were nowhere near at the levels we've seen in the last few weeks.
They returned back to one-out runners.
Yeah,
every time they've had a bad game, that's what they've done.
Yeah, does it just come down to the disruption they've had in the back line? Is it the worst injury crisis at the worst time possible for this Leicester side?
Potentially. So I suppose good news for Leicester fans is it sounds like Billy Searle and James O'Connor will be back in time for playoffs. They've said that Stewart will be back for a final, I think, because he had a broken thumb, although he's in a cast. So how match fit and how able they will be able to go, I don't know. But I'm sure that'll be an element of why they've perhaps not done it. But I think even just up front, they didn't seem to.
It didn't have that kind of the movement at the line that they've been showing in recent weeks. Yeah,
I think first half, so Tommy Raphael was an absolute pest at the breakdown. Sure, Henry Liebenberg, absolute workhorse. Big day for him. I think it was his 150th game for Leicester or something like that. So some big performance.
And would have been his final game at Welford Road as well.
Yeah.
Well, unless they get a home semi-final, I suppose.
True. But I think some of the other players who've been absolute stalwarts, I think Jamie Blameyer had a relatively quiet game. Chesham had a relatively quiet game. Martin, some of their big ball carriers just didn't seem to have as much impact as they have done in recent weeks. So you can't put that on the backs players missing.
Yeah, Morrow wasn't the player we've seen in recent weeks. And look, sometimes rugby comes down to who wins the physical battle, and if you're off it by even 1% in this league, you lose it. Yeah. And Chiefs were at 100%, and Tigers weren't.
Yeah, I think that's it. But that's round 17, Rory. and it's 5
Yeah.
humdingers, 5 great games. What an advert for the competition, and it means there's still a lot to play for going into the final round. So before we go into our predictions for next week, Rory, throw me your team of the week for this round, because I want to hear your thoughts, because I suspect you're going to be wanting to throw a hell of a load of Gloucester players in. I'm here to stop it.
I did want to throw in a lot of Gloucester players. I've resisted the urge to throw in too many, but I've maybe one or two. Okay. Loose said I've got Scott Seo.
Okay.
Matching Joe Hayes in the scrum. I thought he was just. Nicky Smith actually was pretty good around the park, but no, I thought Scott stitched it at loose head. Hooker, I am going to go Seb Blake. I thought it was his best performance of the season at hooker, and I didn't think of another hooker who was that outstanding outside of that.
Other people who maybe Harry Thacker.
Harry Thacker's probably the argument, but
probably the only argument I can think of the top of my head. I'll give you Seb Blake.
Thank you. Tight Ed, because he scored a try, and because he came on and matched up to the Bath scrum, I'm going to Max Laheath. I know he didn't play the whole game, but
he did come on quite early. So
he came on quite early, and I thought he was good. And he scored a winning try against the champions, and that was enough for me.
It's a strong argument. I accept Max Laheath. He's in.
Second row, I've got Alex Coles.
Okay, he's in.
I thought he was good. His wide pass off the ruck that set away Finn Smith's coast to coast try, just excellent. I mean, his all round skill set is excellent.
I think when Alex Coles plays, Saints play a level above they do without him. I think he is so influential. And
I could have made the argument for Arthur Clarke here, if nothing else, because he actually dismantled the Saints lineup pretty well at times. And I thought he was a really good ball carrier, but ultimately I had to lean towards the player that won on the day.
Well done.
Probably should have gone for Maro Itoje, but I just thought I liked Alex Cole's performance in this week.
Okay. I'm guessing Zamboni's number 5.
Zamboni's number 5. Yeah,
couldn't pick anyone else there. Let's face it.
No, it was just outstanding. On the flanks, I've cheated a little bit. I've gone for Tom Christie and Fitzhardin.
That is a little bit cheaty. Tom Pearson will probably have an argument for the 6 shirt, I'd say.
I think if I was going to debate the 6 shirt with you, which I'm willing to debate, I'm probably leaning towards Hooper.
Hooper would be in the equation too. If we're going for an out-and-out 6, Hooper would probably actually, because Hooper has just been incredible for Exeter all season. But
I'll change Christie to Hooper, but I'm keeping Fitzhardin.
Yeah, Fitzhardin needs to stay. He is the heartbeat of that Bristol side. He monumental, so you can't drop Harding. Who's your 8?
I'm going to go Maffey.
Going Maffey. I can't think of another 8 who had quite as dominant individual performance this round as Maffey did. His turnover work, he won 4 turnovers, and there was a couple arguably he should have got and he got pinged for anyway. So he could have had kind of 5 or 6.
Yeah, he's just a freak. And I love it.
And his ball carrying is incredible because he's 36. Like fair play to him. So yeah, I'm. It's crazy to think there's Red Bulls players in the equation here, but I think I'm willing to cede to Maffey getting our team of the week. So yeah, go for that. Yeah. Your 9?
Harry Randall this week. I mean, Stephen Varney was well up there in my estimations. McParland I thought had some really good moments, but he also had some brain fading moments. Bracken was good, but for me, I just thought way Harry Randall ran the show for Bristol and created moments as well. Nearly scored a try with a really good hold-up from Ted Hill. For me, I thought he was the best 9 this week.
Well, I would have gone McParland, but I'll let you have Randall for now.
McParland lost it when he knocked that ball on off the 5-metre line out.
It's just one mistake.
Yeah.
He got 2 or 3 assists. Give him a bit of credit. But yeah, okay. No. Randall, who's your 10?
I've got a split one here, and I want your input on it. And no, it's not Finn Smith.
And no, it's not Charlie Atkinson.
No, it's between Burke and Jordan.
I thought you were going to say Ben Healy, because he did get player of the match.
Yeah, Ben Healy was really good, but I thought Tom Jordan changed the match for Bristol. But I thought Fergus Burke was excellent all day for Saracens.
I would lean more towards Burke because I think the way he's playing is what is what's steering Saracens to these comfortable wins that feel inevitable at this stage. And I think, and that partnership with Bracken. Yeah, okay, we'll go Burke.
Yeah, I'm happy with that. I couldn't decide between the two, so I'll go Burke.
Okay, centres.
12, Bernard Janssen van Rensburg. Mm-hmm. I don't think there's any argument there, is there?
The only argument would probably be Hartley, but I think Janssen van Rensburg, both sides of the ball was immense.
Amazing.
Yeah, he's probably player of the round, to be fair.
Get him in the team, Borthers.
Yeah. 13?
13, Alex Hurl. Trick, winning try under the sticks.
Well, we discussed before the round about what centres you wanted to pick in your fantasy team, and like you're banding about Tom Litchfield, Will Wand,
Ravovo is in centres on the fantasy, but none of them really performed this week in the way.
No, not the same way Alex Hurl did, which is bizarre to think because he's he's had a steady season, but he's not pulled up trees like he did this week. I'd say. Do I give another Red Bull player team of the week?
Come on, how many wins do they get?
Tompkins, could he be in with a shout?
Tompkins was really good, but I'm not budging on this one.
Fine, you can have Alex Hurl as long as Tobias Elliott is one of your wingers.
Tobias Elliott is my left wing.
Okay.
Right wing, I really wanted to go for Thorley because I thought he was brilliant for Gloucester, but at some point I had to accept that we did lose that game, and so I'm going to go Manny Feoboso.
Yeah, you can't. Yeah, I was going to say you can't ignore the Feoboso performance as much as you'd want to ignore it.
I want to, but I can't.
Yeah.
Just like on Manny, I just wanted to give Thorley his props. I thought he was brilliant.
Thorley was very good,
and for the record, I thought Freeman was pretty good as well.
He was. And who's your fullback?
Tempted by Pearson because I did think he was very good for Tigers, but I did have to accept that I think Furbank was very good for Saints.
Yeah, Furbank would be my pick as well. He's just constantly reminding us at the moment the player we're losing, which is not ideal.
Yeah,
he's had a couple of really good weeks.
I think him and Marcus
could
might
really work.
Quite exciting.
Could really work well. Yeah. Oh well, it's okay. I don't think we're signing anyone. There's rumours that we might pick up Rich Lane, which feels a bit of a.
Well, there's rumours that you might pick up James Lowe, David.
No, it's not happening. It's not happening. That's a smoke and mirrors. That's a load of nonsense. That ain't happening. If it happens, I'm not going to commit to anything. Strange things happen. But yeah, so let's move on to predictions for round 18, Rory. All games kick off at the same time. Run through them alphabetically. Yeah.
Should we go through alphabetically or by order of importance?
However,
let's do order of importance. I'm going to do it on the fly.
Do it on the fly. Okay.
So, least important game of the day: Harlequins, Northampton Saints.
Yeah, there's nothing to play for either of those sides, really. Let's face it.
Yeah, I'm going for a Saints win, though. I think
it's hard to predict because I don't know what Saints will either pick a strong team to keep momentum, or they'll send a youthful side to rest some key players.
I think off the back of last week, they'll pick at least a relatively strong side because I don't think. Well, Phil Dawson was certainly not happy in his post-match comments. I don't think they're happy with the level of performance they're giving. I don't think they're going to want to rest on their laurels. My gut feel is send there might be a bit of rotation, but I'm guessing a pretty strong side.
I reckon it'll be strong, but I think there'll be a couple of key positions. So I think we'll see Tony Bellew instead of Finn Smith, for example.
Fine, love him. I think he's great.
I think we'll see McParland being rested. So we'll probably see Tom James. Probably see Freeman being rested. We'll probably still see Pollock. We'll probably still see Pearson, Chick. I imagine that'll be the back row. Kemeny maybe in there. I suspect to see Van der Mesch back because I think we're keeping him wrapped up a little bit just to keep him secure, but he needs minutes. So yeah, I'm predicting a Saints win as well.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Saints 31, Quins 12.
And I'd be really interested to see if they roll out Jack Lewis, who's just signed a senior academy contract, to see if he's getting parachuted straight into the first team. And I suspect is the reason why we've not signed anyone to replace Sam Graham. Just calling it.
Next least important, Sale Bristol.
Yeah, as least important because again, two sides.
Bristol, very slim hopes. Bristol of getting through, but I think you have to thread the eye of the needle to get through.
I'm not even sure there is any mathematical hope still, but
yeah, I think they had to get a bonus point, didn't they, to give themselves a chance.
But
in fact, no, you're right. Yeah, they need a bonus point, so they can't go any higher than fifth. But I do think they'll want to finish the season off well.
Oh yeah. They comfortably
and I think Sale are done.
I think Bristol go and have a party and score lots of tries and have a great time.
I'm thinking Bristol 45, Sale 19.
Yeah, I'd be surprised if Bristol get less than 40 because they'll want to go out with a bang. Next game, order of importance, Rory.
Gloucester against Newcastle Red Bulls. Tempted to leave Gloucester till last, but I have to acknowledge that it's not necessarily the most important game this week.
Yeah, and arguably, you could argue also equal level of importance to the Northampton Harlequins game, I would argue, because you're both playing for 8th.
My game, my rules. Gloucester to round the season off at King's Own with a big performance, securing 7th place in one of the least deserved top 7 finishes in Prem history. But I think they're going to come out on top. I suspect it'll be fairly comfortable. I think Newcastle will have been partying all week. I don't expect them to turn up this week. I mean, I could be wrong. Maybe they'll want to finish with a real bang, but gut feel says they got their win last game at home. Most of them aren't there next season. Yeah, I think Gloucester got the motivation, got the momentum. I'm going for 38-10.
Oh, I was thinking like 50-10 or something like that.
I'd love it if it was true.
Yeah,
let's hope.
We've seen this season Newcastle haven't really been able to back up good performances week on week, so I'd be surprised if they did. But I'll be glad to be proved wrong.
Who knows? Who knows?
Then, Bath Leicester?
I'm going to go Bath Leicester, yeah, because I think that is just about the second most important game, not the first. Bath Leicester at the Rec. Let's just decide second. Difficult one because both teams are going to want to bounce back. Both teams need to get momentum going into the playoffs. It's just who's got the real edge physically and the edge in motivation. And I think I'm just going to shade it towards Bath at home on this occasion.
I think
I'm not ruling out Tigers pulling off an upset in the playoffs.
No, I think it'll be a really close game, and I don't see it being lots of tries. I think like 19-17.
Yeah, I was thinking something like 17-15. But yeah, 19-17, 17-15. I think there's a score in it.
Yeah.
Best. But I think Bath will just edge it.
Which is really agonising because that would mean that Leicester would only get 1 point, assuming they won't get 4 tries in their 17 points. And then it comes down to Saracens versus Exeter down at Sandy Park, which is the game, basically a final for 4th space. Well, 4th or 3rd, depending on how Leicester game goes.
Yes, this is tough to call. Chiefs have been very good this season. They were very good against Tigers at Welford Road. I'm struggling with a logic, but there's something inevitable about Saracens at the moment. There's something in the water in Barnet, and just something tells me they go down and do a job at Sandy Park and get themselves in the playoffs.
I thought you were going to say that it was sewage in the water, but yeah, carry on.
No, there's a lot of limescale in North London. Saracens for me, I think, are going to do the job down in Sandy Park. Again, tight. I'm going 2018 to Saracens.
See, I think Exeter win it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
There's not a great logic to what I'm saying. There's just something in the back of my mind that's like, the evil empire is back and there's something inevitable about them.
It's just from that Exeter performance against Leicester. If they back that up...
But yeah, they were so good. They were so good. There's no reason for me to think they can't back that up.
That would nullify the Saracens' threats if they defend the exact same way. And with Exeter's finishing that they've got with the likes of Faye Boso, Ollie Woodburn, Campbell Riddle, Paul Brown-Bampo off the bench.
Great arguments. Great arguments.
And Sandy Park, and it's supposed to be quite a horrible weekend.
Yeah, and yet
you still think Saracens... Hey, we don't have to agree. I think it's close.
No, we don't. There's no rules of us agreeing. No. There's just something gnawing away at me that says Saracens might lift the trophy this season.
Oh, you think Saracens win the trophy? Lift the trophy?
I almost don't want to admit that I think they might because it feels daft and they've been poor for a lot of the season and not really in it.
Well, I'll tell you what. Of the 3 teams in the running for 4th place, the team I would like to play most as a Saints fan is Saracens because we have their number based off the last 5 fixtures.
Yeah. Again, I'm not really applying logic here.
Okay. Well, who needs logic? This is gut feel.
No.
This is gut feel predictions, Rory. It's
Look,
fine.
sport doesn't always need a logic, David. Sometimes sport just throws up
No,
something
absolutely.
ineffable, and there's
Absolutely.
something ineffable at Saracens at the moment.
And I absolutely love the fact that the final round of the competition still has some jeopardy.
Yeah.
Who says you need relegation? But those are our predictions, and we're not stopping here, Rory.
No, let's press on.
We're pressing on. It's a bumper, big episode for the listener because we weren't here last week. We're going to do some awards, the Ruxballs Overballs Awards for the end of the full season.
Well, we're going to do the nominees, and we're going to ask the listeners to make some decisions for us.
No, so what we're going to do, there's going to be 6 categories. We're going to ask the listener to provide some nominations, and we will also be talking about our own nominations, but what we want is people to get in touch and let us know who you think should fit into these categories and who should be in contention on top of the nominees that we're going to suggest. So we're going to talk player of the season, coach of the season, breakthrough player of the season, the signing of the season, the dark horse of the season, and the general dog's body of the season.
Yeah.
So, Rory, who should be in the mix for your nominee for player of the season?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many players to talk about. I'm just going to throw it up to, sometimes you just have to give props to the team that comes top. And on this occasion, I'm going to give my player of the season nomination to Finn Smith.
I like it. I like you nominating a Saints player. That feels nice, warm and fuzzy and cozy. So, you know me, I'm a stat man. I'm driven by the numbers, and I can't ignore a certain individual player who defies any other logic, in that Tom Willis still puts out ridiculous numbers across the season. Like, he's double second place in defenders beaten. He's done more carries than anyone else. Like, for forwards, he carries more meters than any other forward. So for me, Tom Willis would be my nominee. Just because I really can't nominate another Saints player if we're going to go.
No, that's fair.
I can't go 2 Saints nominees. So yeah, those are our nominees. Let us know who else you think we should be considering for player of the season. Now, coach of the season, Rory, who would be your nominee?
Yeah, we'll go head coach. I think, let's not show off by going down the coaching tickets too much.
Yeah.
I think because of the improvement and the levels they have hit this season. I mean, there's obviously 3 or 4 coaches you can nominate for this, but I'm just going to give it to Jeff Partling on this occasion.
Okay, I think that's fair. Now, I am going to fight every urge in my body, and I'm not going to say Phil Dowson, even though I think he deserves to be a nominee here. I'm going to say Rob Baxter for a very similar reason.
Rob Baxter was the other one in my mind. Yeah.
Because of the turnaround from Exeter last season to this season, and all the noise that was going on kind of behind the scenes towards the back, and we were very critical of it. How he has steered that ship and kind of really reinvigorated that team deserves kudos. So yeah, as much as it pains me to not say Dowson because he steered Northampton to top of the table and a really impressive season, Baxter gets my nomination. Okay, breakthrough player. So this is player having their first season in the Prem, who's kind of come through the system, maybe it was second season, but it's kind of really broken through this year, Rory. Who stands out for you? And there's so many players that fit into this category. It's a really hard one to hone in on.
Yeah, this is really, really difficult. And because I've got first pick, I'm going to once again take away your thunder of picking a Saints player, because for me, the breakthrough player, amongst many good ones, is Archie McParland.
So that is who I was going to pick. So thank you for that, Rory. And I would be so tempted to double down and go Edo Tadaro as my second nominee.
Had he not been injured so early into the season, I think he would have been well in the running for this. But there is another name. There
are other names out there. Obviously, I don't think we could not nominate Noah Kalori just because he's top of the try-scoring table. But there are so many players out there who...
Yeah, do tell us who the other youngsters who deserve kudos this season, because there are a lot who've come through this year. Some exciting talent coming through.
I will accept having 10, 20 nominations from the viewers and the listeners for this category, because I think it's been a great season for it. Next up, next nomination, Rory. I want your signing of the season, and I think I have a feeling where I know where you're going with this.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Who's been the best? Well, for me, I mean, I think the smartest bit of business, the biggest impact to a team, the most, in some ways, the biggest surprise this season, I think, it's Zamboni for me.
That's exactly where I thought you were going to go, and I think it's a very good shout. My nomination is going to be Billy Searle.
Was he signed this season?
I hope so, because otherwise I have to think of another nomination. Or was he signed back end of last season? Please confirm with me, Rory. Otherwise, I'm going to have to start thinking of someone else.
When did Billy Searle join Leicester? He definitely joined in June 2025. Searle agreed to return to England to sign for the Premiership team Leicester Tigers from the 25-26 season. You're safe, David.
Billy Searle gets my nomination because of just
everything he's done this season.
Everything he's done this season. He has been the catalyst for what has been a fantastic season from Leicester, I'd say.
Arguably could have been player of the season.
Yeah.
And if anyone nominates him, I would have no bones about it at all.
Absolutely not. He definitely is someone who could easily fit into that category as well. Now, Dark Horse, Rory. The Dark Horse nomination. So this is someone that's kind of surprised us and kind of really kind of had such a huge improvement to previous seasons, or has
come out of relative obscurity, someone who you thought was a fringe player and is suddenly a star. And for me, I think there is only I actually am glad I get the first pick on this one, because there may only be one real pick for this one. It's Will Wand.
So he was one of the names I was thinking of for this one. I think Will Wand definitely deserves a nomination here. Arguably, you could say he's up there in the player of the, like, he's won the player of the month for the last 2 months in a row. I'm gonna turn the tables on you, Rory.
Go on.
Will Trenham.
Oh yes, please give it to Will Trenham.
No, we need to allow a fair and open voting system.
Yeah, absolutely. Listeners, all nominate Will Trenham.
Yeah.
No, really, really fair. It's a good pick, because he did come out of when he was signed last summer. Gloucester signed a lot of players last summer, not to the detriment of our season, frankly, in a lot of ways. Wasn't one of the names that jumped out at anyone as being potential star man, and his graft is on a different level to a lot of players. He's just a really, really good workhorse, committed player.
Will Trenham's the one that stood out, and he's surprised a lot of people. So that's why he got my nomination. Now, next one is the dog's body, or maybe more kind of the unsung hero, the players that don't get the kudos they deserve and get their time in the limelight. Who would be your nominee for this category, Rory?
So the slight difficulty here is, if you watch enough rugby, the dog's body players do get a lot of chat about them because they are so involved. But I think, you're talking your Richard Hill types.
Yeah.
You
do the dirty work.
The men who do the dirty work, the men who make the rest of the team shine. And these are sort of players that you love to watch as well. If you're a real rugby fan, you love these players. If you're a fan of a club and you've got one of these guys in your team, it's one of those things where if you know sort of players.
Yeah.
Fitzharding's tempting to pick, but he's almost too lauded.
Yeah.
It's too flashy at this point almost to receive this award. Harro Liebenberg would be another one.
Yeah, that sort of player.
Just constant impact. But again, is he too flashy at this point to receive that award, David? I think the one I'm going to go for on this occasion, without delay.
The pausing for extra thinking time is magnificent here, Rory.
Yeah, because I want to hamstrung myself by saying I'm not going to go for Fitzharding when he's the obvious pick.
I think there's a more obvious pick.
You think there's a more obvious pick? That's interesting. We'll look forward to your nomination. In a poor season, the player that I think has held things together whilst all falls around him, I'm going to go for Van Rijn.
Okay, that is a good shout. I was thinking the dog's body of all dogs' bodies in this league, Miles Reid.
Oh, yes, please. Yes,
Like,
please. Yeah, Miles Reid, excellent
yeah,
choice.
for a player who is so good, he just does not get the credit he deserves,
Yeah,
and he just embodies the dog's body. So
yeah.
that's where my nomination goes. But listener, viewer, however you're absorbing this information, let us know in comments. Let us know if you can comment on the Spotify episode. You can send us an email. You can send us a text. You can, whatever it is, get through to us any nominations you've got for any of these awards. And we will then, in next week's episode, go through those nominations and really settle on who the award winners are.
We'll pick some winners.
We'll pick some winners. But this has been a blockbuster, Rory.
Yeah.
But we can't change. We may have changed the inclination at the start of the episode, but we're not going to step away from Rory's final thought. That's a mainstay. So, Rory, please do give me and the listener your final thought for this blockbuster episode before we run to the jingle and say goodbye to the listener.
North London forever, whatever the weather. Saracens are going to pick up the trophy this season.
And with that, folks, a wild prediction from Rory. We've been Ruxmalls and Overballs, back once again with some rugby content for you all. Hope you've enjoyed listening. We'll be back again next week, as long as the weather's nice. And we'll see you then. Ta-ra.
Ta-da.